The top-down hack and slash genre is full of titles that provide players with chaotic combat, head-scratching puzzles, and rich story arcs. In these games, you'll find yourself in the shoes of powerful heroes, dungeon delvers, and in today's case, the horsemen of the apocalypse.
Hey,
Buddy. We're the Bullet Sponges, and we are back with another Play or Pass, where we jump into co-op and multiplayer games and give you our thoughts on whether they're worth playing or not really worth your time. And if you feel like joining myself and Nex for more co-op reviews and Let's Plays, feel free to subscribe and sit back each week as we review and play through all sorts of different titles. Today we're covering Darksiders Genesis, a spin-off prequel to the first 3 Darksiders titles, and the first installment of a top-down style game in the franchise. In Darksiders, you play as Strife, one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and at any point while playing, you can switch between the gun-wielding nimble Strife into his more in-your-face brother War. If you choose to play the game co-op with a friend, one of you will play as Strife, and the other will play as War. However, the game still provides you with the ability to switch between the two if you choose. The game's levels are the standard linear format you'll find in many other top-down games, and as you play through each level you'll earn currency that you can use to unlock new abilities, combat skills and consumables. Darksiders Genesis released on PC in 2019, and in 2020 it became available on Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. The response from critics has been a little divided, but the game still seems to be popular in the top-down genre, so we jumped in 2021 to let you know if it's a play or a pass.
The Darksiders series has amassed a dedicated fan base, but in an interesting twist, their next title has foregone the third-person perspective, to bring years of lore to a new genre. And to that effect, it's managed to still feel like a Darksiders game, with quick responsive gameplay, witty character dialogue and puzzle-like elements. The playthrough went off to a promising start.
Hey, this feels great.
Graphics are polished and excitingly high quality, the art and animations look fantastic and bring in a sense of atmosphere immediately. Gameplay is action-packed with back-to-back fast-paced combat, using a twin-stick control style. We're reviewing the PC version and are therefore moving with WASD and attacking in the direction of your mouse pointer. You can dash to avoid attacks or travel faster, double jump, glide around and ride your horse in certain areas. In addition to needing these to progress, each one adds to the parkour feeling of getting around in interesting ways.
This is kind of cool, man. The whole parkour feels quite good.
Kind of mini puzzles.
Hey!
Oh, no way.
This is awesome, man! This is my character, mate. This is my character.
Oh, you're that guy.
I'm fine. I don't care.
Oh, right.
I wanted to get a response out of you.
Oh, right.
Much to our dismay, you only get the option to play as 2 of the 4 horsemen, War being a tanky, melee-focused character, with grand AoE attacks and abilities. He uses light and heavy attack chains, a block, 3 abilities, 1 utility, 1 for offense and 1 for defense, and a bunch of different enhancements that add new damage types and effects. And Strife, who has a number of constant fire and bursty ranged options, with 3 abilities, utility, offense and defense, and using 2 guns, each with their own configurable unique ammo types, which can change them to things like laser beams, lightning or flame rounds. He can also build up a meter by attacking, to boost damage output for a period of time when full. Both the enhancements and ammo types are unlocked with the currency earned through play, keeping the gameplay fresh and offering different approaches to combat. When you get an enemy low, you're able to do a finisher for a flashy takedown, and a bit of breathing space when swarmed by enemies, making you invulnerable, much like the mechanic in Doom Eternal. Eventually, War and Strife will unlock Chaos forms too, turning them into devastating creatures temporarily. At every turn you'll find yourself in an area with a few clues around. You can use the map which, when uncovered, will keep track of everything you can collect like currencies and chests. The game is filled with challenges to get past, most of the time requiring the use of your gear. Both characters have a ghost hook to grab some objects or even pull enemies towards you, but each character has their own unique gear too, needing to use a specific one to get to the next part. This might come from War's crossblade to light up fire pits, or Strife's void bomb to link portals together. To further enhance your characters, you'll come across the creature core system, where you collect cores, minor from normal mobs, and major from boss enemies, with buffs that might increase your attack power or your max health. These cores are placed on this grid with a specific amount of minor and major slots. In between each mission, you'll find yourself at a hub, where you can purchase upgrades, access missions, and once unlocked you can enter the arena, fighting through 10 waves of enemies, ending in a boss in order to earn currency to buy more useful items.
I like this a lot already. Early days though, could always be wrong.
And wrong we were. As mentioned, you'll find your fair share of obstacles you need to overcome in order to progress, and many might say that it's filled with puzzles to describe this. I think this gives the wrong impression of what you actually come across. There are some parts that are genuinely puzzle-like, and yes, those make you feel all fuzzy inside when you figure it out, but for the most part you're just looking for a particular button to press or platform to jump to, and these don't leave you satisfied that you did anything worth telling your mum about. And you can't quite get away from that participation medal gameplay through combat either. Whilst there are a number of upgrades you can unlock along the way, the combat stays fundamentally the same. Besides the finishes, there are only a few interesting combat mechanics to take advantage of. One thing to mention is the single player seems much better with respect to this, but the ability to switch between characters does actually add that extra layer that makes the combat more fun. Despite the beautiful visuals, we came across a number of times where characters fell through the ground, and finishers bogging through textures too.
Have you glitched through the map?
Yeah. Oh, wait a sec.
Keep on jumping.
Hey, I got out.
Just fall through the ground.
I'm doing my finisher on him, but it kind of took us both underneath.
That's glitchy.
When using WASD, you can only move in 8 directions, which is particularly dissatisfying when a pathway does not line up with it, having to zigzag when you just want to dash in line with it. Using the map is a necessity, as it holds all the valuable information as you occasionally need to go back where you've previously been. We found that when opening the map, we'd be centered on random areas of it rather than on us. Locating ourselves made even more difficult by the lack of player icons, but using these faint pulsing faded areas instead.
We have icons on the map. I can't see.
I'm trying to see as well. I think with that rough meshed patch, because we're standing on each other, you're that pulsing. Yeah, you're the pulsing purple patch, and I'm the pulsing teal patch.
Oh yeah.
Darksiders seems stuck in this uncomfortable space between a dungeon crawler and an actual RPG. Because while there are so many well-developed aspects, there's no challenge, no repercussions for dying, you fall or get knocked off the map, you just teleport back on. Everything can be infinitely retried there and then until you haphazardly stumble through it. However, Darksiders seems like the perfect game for the casual completionist, who wants to clear every part of the map in order to 100% it, whilst resolving every challenge in their way no matter how big or small.
Don't tell me it was just for that one little thing there.
Oh man, what a joke.
If you love the Darksiders series, I'd say they transitioned it into the isometric hack and slash rather well. But on its own individual merits, we don't think it quite meets the expectations of a modern co-op game, particularly for us. It's a shame as everything I previously knew about this game suggested I was going to love it, but while still being very playable, we just didn't find the game very fun. And although we're only interested in the co-op element, I did get the impression that it's more of a complete experience when played solo, through the combat improvements and the rinse and repeat nature of the challenges, mostly suiting just one person taking them on at a time.
The top-down hack and slash genre contains a number of great games. Games like Diablo, Torchlight and Path of Exile have captured the attention of a lot of gamers. However, sadly for us, Darksiders Genesis is not a great game. There are aspects of the game that are good, and to give credit where it's due, the art style and aesthetic are really nice. And the character models, the environment, and the visual effects are probably the best part of the game as a whole. And coming in a close second is the soundtrack and the audio. However, where the game completely fell apart for us was the design and the gameplay. It became a very tedious and frustrating experience. We found ourselves going through the motions of playing through levels, shooting and slashing the same enemies in similar level layouts for hours. And the longer we played, the more frustrating the game became. In addition to this, character progression is very limited when compared to games like Torchlight. The puzzles were very straightforward and became tedious. Bosses in some cases were decent, but in many cases didn't provide much of a challenge. The voice acting for us was a bit too cheesy, and the combat, while smooth, was very basic. It's a shame, but the whole experience for us was not a good one. Overall, we gave Darksiders Genesis a 2 out of 5. And for us, this one's a pass. If you're looking for a top-down hack-and-slash RPG, we think there are far more enjoyable options out there to choose from. Let us know in the comments what you think of the game, or whether or not you agree with our review. We're the Bullet Sponges, and we'll see you in the next one.